All right.
So,
What's our next movie, Avi?
yeah, so we just finished up with The Departed, which, like I was saying, probably the weakest argument for like the best of the decade, but like you could still make it honestly for 2000s.
Little
And,
Miss Sunshine, 2004. Stop playing with me. Or 2006. Sorry about that.
Dark Knight 2008, Training Day '01, No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood '07. It's a pretty good decade. But 2010 Shutter Island. I haven't seen this.
Woo!
Jackson can speak on this.
Alrighty, so I haven't seen it for a little bit now. Shutter Island is a very common theme with me and Marty. It's a movie that I thought could have been really cool. Just didn't totally work for me. You should check it out though, because we disagree for the most part in most of his movies. But I thought Leo was really good in it. Ruffalo is my guy. I love Mark Ruffalo, so I mess with him too. Very very odd film. I like what Martin was going for. Like I said, I like when he kind of switches it up and goes into a different lane. This is more kind of like thriller, um, almost like horror vibes. I think like the closest he's ever got to that. I would love to see a Martin Scorsese just full out horror movie. I would, Come on, Marty, you can do it. You got a couple more films in you. Just throw like a Conjuring 6 in there, you know? But overall, I liked it. I don't have an actual review because all my reviews are on Letterboxd, and the last time I saw this was a couple years ago before I was on the letterbox craze. So um yeah, I don't think I have it on here, but if I had to guess, it would probably be like a 3.5 out of 5. It's definitely a vibe. I would watch it because it's definitely exciting and not boring at all. But I would say it's a little difficult to follow at points also. So yeah, liked it, didn't love it, type shit.
All right. So I haven't seen it, but I'll check it out. Have you seen Hugo?
Oh God, probably like forever ago.
I haven't seen Hugo. So
Yeah, let's not even talk about that one because I haven't seen it in a very long time.
and then 2013 we have another masterpiece with Wolf of Wall Street.
Avi, you gave it only 2 stars. What is that?
Good joke, good joke. You know, when I first saw it, I think I finished when I got done watching it. I gave it 4.5, but then I was like, "What am I doing?" Just gave it a 5 star, and I was like I can't tell you like what is like wrong about this movie because it's like so great and it's so the acting, the scenes, the way it's shot, the screenplay. There's so many memorable moments, and it's just an incredible movie. And honestly, one of the most kind of I don't know. Is it the film that most people like anyone aged like 18 or 15 to like 75 have probably seen it and probably enjoyed it, or at least I'd imagine men that age probably gravitate to this movie for sure. It's true.
Why is that?
It's the whole lifestyle of it. It's all the toxic
That's not the
masculinity,
point of the film, Avi. It's trying to get people away from this lifestyle.
but that's why people enjoy watching it for at least the
Yeah.
first half.
I mean, there is definitely the Margot factor in this movie.
Oh yeah, this is her like big
Um,
coming out party.
yeah, very talented, but also a very attractive actress. So that might be a reason for a lot of the popularity. Um, I definitely don't think it's one of Marty's most unanimously liked films, though. I feel like there's a lot of people
You
that
don't think
don't.
so?
I don't think so. And
I think it's. I
this
thought
is.
I was thinking pretty like unanimous, like top six, top five. I mean, he's made 30 movies, so that's like pretty
I
high.
mean, that's valid, but I would say it's definitely certain people. I don't think it's as like Goodfellas is excellent. Everyone loves that. Everyone loves Taxi Driver. Everyone loves Raging Bull. But I would say this might be a little bit more controversial. I mean, it's definitely a controversial film. There's a lot more nudity. There's a lot of obviously drug use. There's horrible language, a lot of awful actions by Jordan Belfort, the main character. I really like Martin went for this, and this is where I talk about when I talk about creativity in his films lacking at times. This is, I think, his most creative film. It is
I don't think
just
it's that much different creatively. I just think it's more of a fun. It's more fun. It's just more fun, I would say. I like the actual content
oh,
of it. I don't think like
I would strongly disagree. And I'm not saying like I said earlier, there's some films I really like by Martin, but I think this is
no.
his
So what
most
makes this
ambitious
one?
film.
What makes it that for you? What makes it that for you then?
I would say it's definitely the lifestyle of this character in this movie. Um, very, very crazy. Leo, that he didn't. I mean, I can't even fault McConaughey for winning the Oscar that year because I never saw Dallas Buyers Club, but like Leo was incredible in this movie, and it just never slowed. It never slowed down, and I think that's one of my things with Martin. I think, and I know you probably disagree with me with this, but some of his movies can be kind of slow. And sometimes you might like that. You might really like the dialogue that happens in that. I feel like I can get kind of bored during that. And this is a film that's 3 hours long, but deserves to be 3 hours because it never slows down. There's constant action. There is constant, is he going to get arrested or not? He's doing a ton of illegal stuff. Jonah Hill in this film is incredible. Like, incredible in this movie. Margot is incredible in this movie. Just all the performances. It's more colorful than a lot of his movies too, and I think that's the time of the film too. Obviously, it's a bit newer, but I think it's just more colorful, a little bit more life in the film. And I'm not saying that these other films aren't, but I guess the whole fun part of it, like it's just very wild and there's comedy moments in it too. I think this is his best film ever. I really do think it is.
I mean, I disagree first off with that, but like I have it 5 stars, so like whatever. I don't really care if you have it as his if you have it as his best. I just think he's he's a master of being able to adapt to the content. So what I mean is he doesn't write a lot of his movies. Like he'll obviously work on the script and scenes and things like that, but like he'll adapt stuff oftentimes. And like this Wolf of Wall Street itself is an adaptation. Like so you have this, and you have something like After Hours where he didn't write that script either, but like they're just two completely different movies in terms of like how they're shot and how how the camera moves and da 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 all this. But like that's because he's able to adapt to his content. Like, and I think that's a real skill. I think it's a real testament to his ability as a master filmmaker. He's like, well, if I'm making a movie about Jake LaMotta, this boxer, we're gonna be real up close and personal. And we're gonna be this tight with him. But if it's something else, then he'll adapt to it. And yeah, but Wolf of Wall Street overall, I think it's a fantastic movie. So funny too. I don't think he gets enough credit for how funny Scorsese's movies, like how funny they can be. Like this is his funniest movie, but like there's humor in most of his movies, I'd say. And
Yeah.
it's just
I
there's so
I
many.
think man, I do think this was his riskiest film. And why I say that, Martin obviously at this point already a legend. He had already been a legend for a decade or two at this point. And the film space, he could just go ahead and keep going with his classic mob movies, character portraits that kind of stay in that realm. More of his what do you call it? Specialization, more of his main category of movies. But he goes ahead and says, "Screw it, man! I'm gonna go ahead and make this crazy biopic about one of the biggest, most exciting criminals, honestly, in the world when he did get arrested, at least in Wall Street and blue collar or white collar crime." And I just think it was crazy, and it's almost relates to me like when Damien Chazelle went ahead and made Babylon. Shit, my guy. It relates to me in that kind of realm. Does it not to you? I know I always bring him up, but kind of how crazy the movie was, and I some areas most people did like it for on Letterboxd, which is honestly kind of low for Martin Scorsese compared to some of his other films. But yeah, I love that he made this movie and really took a swing at a movie that was this wild, you know?
Yeah, I just think as far as this riskiest swing, I wouldn't say that, but it's definitely
What
one of his
what what do
best.
you what do you think his riskiest movie was in terms of just him just putting himself out there,
I think there's
you
a
know?
few. I think the one that comes to mind first is Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah, that's
He's
fair.
he's a deeply religious man. You know, you're adapting already a controversial book, and then you have all the responses to it, which a lot of it was positive, but also there's decent amount of outcry and all that. And he had to have, he probably knew that going into it, and going into making that movie, and he had been trying to make it for like a decade and all of that led up to it. And then you also have something like Killer to the Flower Moon, which I'm not going to get into like at all, but like I think something like that when we get to it, it's definitely risky. But yeah, Wolf of Wall Street, definitely a fantastic movie, one of his best.
Yeah, and I think Last Temptation of Christ is a good one. That's also a very risky movie that a lot of people thought were very divisive. But this is the one for me, and he just like, he's one of the greatest filmmakers at that time that everyone says,
At
and he
every
goes
time.
ahead. Yeah, okay. I wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't disagree. Just not one of my favorites. And he goes ahead and just, he doesn't settle, which I think a lot of people would, And what I love about him too, he's always spoke kind of against. I'm not saying Marvel and all the superhero movies. Not all of them are bad, but like God, it kind of ruined creative storytelling for a lot of people and independent film. And Martin never strayed from his true path in filmmaking, which is original storytelling and not the big blockbusters. He's never strayed from that.
We can get into the MCU thing one day for sure. It's worth an in-depth conversation.
It
I
is.
just don't think it's all on the MCU when you have the audience. If the audience isn't gonna go see Furiosa, like even though that's IP, if they're not gonna go see that, then why would studios keep producing those? Like honestly, if us as an audience, obviously it's not all
I
of our fault, all their fault, but like both sides
I'm
have to
not
play.
I'm not saying it's Marvel's fault necessarily. If I was them too, I would do the same thing. But I think it's awful for movie making, and I think what they make is just honestly sometimes they hit, sometimes they're all right, but honest garbage. If I'm being completely honest, and a joke.
I mean, I'd have to dive into it, but I feel like it's just the same as any other studio. You have the good ones, you have bad ones, and you have occasionally a great one comes around.
A24 baby.
Neon's better.
No, stop.
Yep.
That's crazy. What's your favorite studio? I don't know if you have the answer because
I mean,
it's
it's not really. I don't really have a favorite studio because like some of these studios they're only like distributing stuff, so it's like why would I give this studio like credit for like this filmmakers? You know what I mean?
yeah, it's kind of weird because like whenever you talk about like an A24 film, I think they make films and some of them are produced. It's a little confusing the whole production studio space because like not all of it's original stuff. And yeah, Neon though. Neon's kind of like A24 a little bit, right?
Ferrari, Ferrari, Ferrari.
On second
Ferrari
watch, not as good, honestly.
hater. How to blow up a pipeline. Now we have a fall.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Great. I think Parasite was Neon too, right?
Ooh, let me
Yeah, it
see. I'm
was.
looking through other movies now.
Yeah.
Parasite is incredible.
All right, but yeah. So off of Wolf of Wall Street. So you can make an argument for that as the best of the 2010s. Like, would you agree with that?
Wolf of Wall Street, yeah,
Yeah.
not my favorite, but it's up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was trying to think what else. Social Network, Get Out, probably some others. And 2019
Whiplash.
Interstellar, Inception,
Interstellar
2019
is solid. Go ahead.
or 2016, I'm sorry. He comes out with Silence, another religious film. I really want to watch this one. I haven't got around to it yet, but I really want to watch it.
I love Andrew Garfield. Man, he's my dude. Does it? It looks a little like a snooze fest, but we'll see. We'll see if I ever watch it.
But 2019, sorry. You have The Irishman. And The Irishman is a fantastic movie.
It's so boring.
How?
It's so long.
The
It's
last
it's
it's a
so
long
boring,
movie, I'll give you
Avi.
that. The last
It's
2
so
hours,
boring.
it's some of the most special filmmaking you'll ever see.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I watched it a couple years ago, and like I said, I have awful memory when it comes to movies. All I remember is this was long, and my favorite part was when that shit ended. Honestly,
You're
it was so
wrong.
boring. It was so boring.
You have this is what I was gonna bring up when we were talking about his mob movies. There's no like luxury life, not even just mob movies, but like Scorsese's movies, like Wolf of Wall Street too, has like a there's an appeal to that life, to like cheating, the justice system, breaking the law, and you see like how can someone get sucked up in it? But in Irishman, you're like, why would this dude like join up with them? Like, there's no real appeal to that, and then you see probably one of his coldest and darkest endings in a movie I've ever seen, where he's just sitting there all alone in a nursing home by himself. And it feels like Scorsese's reflecting on his career and also reflecting on just what happens to people when they age and when they get older, and like what will he have left. And such a powerful ending, I feel like. In the movie itself, you have Jimmy Hoffa played by Al Pacino. It's just hysterical. And I think the cast as a whole, Jesse Plemons, Ray Romano, obviously Pesci, De Niro, Pacino. It's just fantastic cast. And I think on rewatch, I might bite, bring this up to 5 stars. I have it at 4.5 right now. On rewatch, I might bring it up to 5 stars. Like, just talking about it is just fantastic. You have so many great shots. It's Scorsese reflecting on his career. It opens with that tracking shot that reminds you of the Copacabana and Goodfellas, where he's sweeping Karen into life. But instead, it's following De Niro through this nursing home, and you're like, this is sad as shit. This is old. Like, this is what happens when you get old.
I think I figured something out talking about this movie. So, like I said earlier, visuals are really big for me in films, and I think everyone that watches a movie, right? It's all a story is most important in my opinion. And there's of course direction, like how it's told in terms of camera angles and what scenes they keep. So the performances. But I think a really big part in film is coloring, right? And I think that might be one of the reasons why I don't love Scorsese. I don't love how his films are colored. There's a lot of times this kind of gray scale where it's very dark and just kind of lacks color. Outside of Wolf of Wall Street, I don't
The
think I can think of
Irishman
another
doesn't.
one.
Did we watch this? What? The Irishman doesn't lack color?
Bro, it's so dark and like grayscale. I'm telling you,
What
bro,
about the
it's not
scene I
that
sent you? What
interesting.
about the scene I sent you the other day, last week?
I don't watch that shit.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, I know you didn't. But just look. Just take 2 seconds to look at it right now. You tell me if that looks dark and gray and dull.
Let's look at
It's,
it.
for reference, it's the scene where Jimmy Hoffa is having to sit down with Tony Pro, and they're trying to settle their beef, and they're down in
All right,
Florida.
down in Florida.
You tell me if that looks dull and
Yes, it is.
how? How? We're
It
not. You just.
is.
How's it dull? How's that dull coloring? What are you
It
talking?
is. I don't like the way he colors his films. You can see it here. It's gray. I don't know if that's a term for it. It's
They're not
grayscale.
gonna get it.
It
Look it up on YouTube.
is.
How's it dull though? Like, you can have things look gray but vibrant. This is vibrant.
It's
It's
not.
more
I don't
yellowish
like
than
how it
gray.
looks. Anyways, I don't like how it looks.
After
And I thought the
hours,
story was
after hours
boring.
looks great.
I don't know, man. It's Irishman is not for me. I'm not an Irish man.
It's a fantastic. movie, man.
Nah.
It's so interesting because you see this man at the end of his life, and they're like, "Tell us what happened. Tell us what happened to these people." And all his friends, all his mobsters are dead, but he still can't admit what he's done. And he tells the priest that he doesn't even feel sorry for what he did. And it's just like it's such a cold ending and so heartless, but like it's fantastic. I think that's your problem with some of Scorsese's ending. They leave you cold, but it's on purpose.
Yeah, I just don't think they do enough at the end of these films. And you can say they leave it like it cuts out at the end and there's some big message, but it never hits me. Or I shouldn't say never, it does occasionally. But most of the times it's just like I don't think I think it could have been a lot better. I really think it could have been. And
But
it just it's just a dull ending. And we're gonna talk about the next movie. I actually really did like this last ending. But a lot of times it's I shouldn't say boring. I just think the message isn't enough to wrap up the movie. I really don't
why?
think it I don't
Why do
think
you
it
need
is, man.
something? Why can't an ending
Cause
leave you cold?
cause
Why
this
can't
is
it leave
my
you
thing,
cold?
man. And most movies and most filmmakers that are good movies, the story's great throughout. And then the ending is what really separates my favorite from my guys I just really admire and really like Scorsese. We don't have to get into this whole thing, but Damien Chazelle, the way he ends films is the best I've ever seen. It really
Dude,
is.
what?
It really is. Whiplash, incredible ending. La La Land, incredible ending. Babylon, incredible ending. First Man, I don't really talk about that. Want to get to Killers?
Jackson's so wrong. But yeah, let's go to Killers of the Flower
I'm
Moon, his most recent
not.
movie. Killers of the Flower Moon, fantastic movie.
Oh my God.
I'm
Stop.
pretty sure I haven't gone back and listened to it, but if you listen to our podcast on it, I'm pretty sure Jackson was saying how great it was, but now he's gonna backtrack. So let's just get to it.
I don't know if I said that. I think I had it at one point a 4 out of 5, and now I had it at a 3.5 out of 5. I think I
What are
changed
we
it
doing
a
here?
little after the film came out. I saw it for a second time. That's what it was. I saw it for a second time and I liked it less. Um, Overall, this is the movie I could probably talk the most about because it came out kind of recently, and it's very long, too long, I would say. Performances are good, and De Niro, classic De Niro carrying Martin Scorsese, man. De Niro's fire in this movie. He's so good, being that villain who's not like outwardly a villain. He's just really happy and kind to everyone, but he's just really killing people and stealing money. That's what he's doing. And shit, Lily Gladstone, great in this film. Man, there was a case for her to win the Oscars, but there was someone named Emma Stone who had the performance of the year.
Yeah, she had the
Incredible.
third best. She had the third best performance of the nominees. Emma Stone did.
Behind who?
Lily and Sandra Huller.
Stop, bro. That's
Sorry,
wild.
it's better.
That's not true. That's false, Avi. That's trash. That's trash take.
When there's not Sandra Huller's scene of her argument with her husband is better than anything Emma Stone did in Poor Things. I like Emma Stone. She's a better actress, but not in that movie.
Oh my
Other
god,
than-
this is I think that was her best performance in Poor
Yeah,
Things. She was incredible. Honestly, I think Sandra Huller was honestly I don't know.
whatever.
I'm a
Killers of the
little
Flower Moon.
biased. I'm a little biased because Zona Interest I like a lot better than Anatomy of a Fall.
You can't say that's better. She doesn't do anything in the zone of interest.
She does though,
Not
suddenly.
anything.
And
Not
like no
anything.
one's oh, she's so good in that film, man.
Yeah, because she's a
Anyways,
good. But like,
we're getting
she's not
very
doing
sidetracked.
anything.
We're
Yeah.
getting very sidetracked. Yeah, liked. It was good. I just think that they should have went more of the investigation, maybe had more of a trial. I think if they had a longer trial and it's like, oh, maybe the right side's actually gonna win. And technically, I think they did, but they like. I think that
You
film.
cut out what you say. You cut out a bit.
Do I keep cutting out?
You just started. I don't know. I don't think you have been, but you just started.
Okay, so I was gonna say is, can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard
Okay.
you cut out like right after you started talking about the trial.
Okay, so I wish there was more of the trial. I wish there was more of the investigation. I know Scorsese said he didn't want to take that angle. I just thought there was a lot left to be desired in this film. I think it was good. They told the story, but I thought it was a little bland without having like the repercussions after. And he says it in his final scene, which was my favorite part of the film. I thought that was incredible. That scene. Um, yeah, that was great. I love the ending where Scorsese talked about the actual real story of what happened. I thought that was really cool, the whole radio broadcast thing. But overall, I mean, it was a good film that I think had the potential of being great, and it just didn't really meet that for me.
Yeah, so you're wrong, but it's just you want this is based off. So this based. It's a movie based off a book.
This is fine. I get it's
It's,
based off a book. I just
let me
think
let
the
me know.
ang.
Let me just
God.
get into it. And you want them to focus. You said maybe they could have focused more on the trial, but that doesn't make or the investigation and the trial. But like we know who did it. The movie doesn't hide
I
that.
I wish I didn't do that personally.
But that's how, I'm pretty sure that's how it is in the book. And it's and the whole purpose of this movie is that look, everybody knows what these people are doing and they know how evil they are. But since they're Native Americans, nobody gives a shit. That's
Yeah.
the message.
Yeah, it was.
And if you make it a mystery, it takes away from that message.
I I guess I get that argument, but not entirely, man. I think either way, it comes out at the end that oh they did it. I think it still has a profound impacts. Like these guys are supposed to be. Imagine the whole time it's like oh these are supposed to be the friends. DiCaprio is the husband of Lily, and they had kids, and then of course De Niro's like the great figure in the town,
But
and it ends up at the
nobody
end.
would ever I don't think anybody would ever believe that they were not the killers, you know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I wouldn't be shocked if someone did, because they're like investigating. Because that's a classic like murder mystery thing, you know.
But like
I think I could pull it
this
off.
isn't Knives Out. This is like a real event and we know what it's about like
I don't
beforehand.
think everyone did though. I don't think everyone's read the book or totally went into it
But
reading
even
all
if
the
you just saw
stories.
the trailer, you're like you could tell. I'm pretty sure I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, anyways, I wish it would have been that angle, and even if it didn't go that angle, I think there could have been more with the trial. I think the trial and how the natives were treated, like in that, probably was not great. I think they could have played that angle a little more. I think that would have been really impactful.
I just can't disagree more. I'm sorry. I can't.
Why?
Because because you just want this to be more I don't know, more mysterious or more suspenseful or
Subtle.
something. But like when has a movie like shown you like this is what's happening, this is how evil is, and this is a movie about how nobody gives a shit, pretty much. Until the last 30 minutes. And then even then when they solve the crime and they go to trial, they still get out and they still are able to live the last whatever years of their life free or whatever, which is delivered in that fantastic ending. So it's like it's such a powerful message and a powerful ending, and I think it's just one of the best of this decade.
I strongly disagree. That's one of the best of the decade. I think it's a good film that really is the same thing I've been saying this whole episode. And this is the last film. So I'm going to wrap it up with this last argument, which is essentially Martin Scorsese is a great filmmaker. You could say he's one of the best. I mean, the catalog's undeniable for a lot of people. And
For
even me,
everyone.
I I realize he's been a filmmaker for 50 years now. He's made some great movies and some movies that I really love personally. But overall, if we go ahead and go through the whole catalog, everyone loops in his top 20, 30 films and calls them all masterpieces. And I just don't see that. I see a lot of films that are
Wrong.
good, but a lot left to be
Mhm.
desired. I thought they could a little bit dull sometimes with a lot of the dialogue. And overall, really good, great filmmaker. Just not one of my personal favorites.
Well, then I'll leave with my closing statement here before we get to our top tens. Martin Scorsese is the greatest American filmmaker alive, still living, and he has done work through the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, and continues to evolve and continues to mature and continues to explore different areas of filmmaking. Like, I don't think there's a 30-year-old or 40-year-old that could make The Irishman or Kills the Flower Moon. Those are movies that you've had to have lived a lot of life to make and to handle with proper care and all of that. So for me, I think there's a case you can make it that he's made the best movie out of 6 decades. Taxi Driver, 70s, Raging Bull, 80.
Come on, bro.
Goodfellas.
Oh my
No,
god.
no, no, no. You're not even.
You
Don't even
don't
say I'm wrong. How am I wrong about this?
you do not believe that. Six
How am I
decades though,
wrong? There's not a case.
you
How am I wrong? There's not a case for that.
there's
Can we
not
go
a
through them?
case
Can
for
we go through them
there's
one by
not a
one real
case
quick?
for killers in the
Can we go
2020s.
through them
Like
one by? Why not? It had like 11 Oscar nominations, universally acclaimed. Many people had it as their best film of the year. I had it as my top 3 or 4 best film of the year.
yeah, you
And
didn't think it was the best though.
but I'm
Like
saying there's a case for it.
of sure, there's a case. I would disagree with it in every decade though.
Maybe
I
not in every decade, but at least 4 decades. Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, The Departed, Wolf of Wall Street, Killers of the Flower Moon. You can make it every one of those except probably The Departed is like there's like a good case for it.
yeah,
The Departed is a bit of a stretch.
I don't have De Niro having the best film in any decade. Or not De Niro, Scorsese.
I mean that's fine if you don't have it, but I'm saying there's a case. There's a legitimate case. You can't say there's not a
Sure,
legitimate.
sure. That's fine. I mean, I would yes, there's a case. I would
But let
just
me let me go
wouldn't
into the
personally.
rest of my closing statement. His ability to adapt to the content, his ability to explore new lanes, to innovate, to constantly reinvent himself and reflect on our world, the people in it, the edges of society, and honestly, the darker sides of people, which not many filmmakers are able to do that at such a high level and explore that. And so I think, like I said, I think he's the greatest living American director, greatest living director, and he is my GOAT director.
Let me say one more thing before we wrap up or go to our lists. I think Scorsese is a great director. And I think a lot of times when we look at anything, when we look at sports teams, we look at artists or directors or whatever, or expectations and everything, in my opinion. And I think when going into these films, looking at what other people review them as, if I didn't know who Martin Scorsese was and I went through and reviewed all his films, I'd be like, hey, man, like if no one knew who Martin Scorsese was, say, for example, I'd be like, hey, Avi, you checked out this Martin Scorsese guy? Like, he's actually really good. I really enjoy his movies. I just think it's the thing when everyone says all his films are incredible. I
They
just
don't
can't get on board on that. People do though. People do though, and
So you're
that's a
saying if I was just a no-name director that made some of these, you would just say they're not as good? You don't
no
think
no
people
no
would think them as good?
no. If he was a no name director, I think my tune would change. If people didn't really know about him, like, hey man, his films are really good. I don't love all of them, but overall, he's like really good. You should check this guy out. But the fact that people say he's the greatest of all time, he has 25 masterpieces or whatever that 20, whatever they say, and it's just like I just can't get on board on that, man. And Martin Scorsese, as a person listening to interviews, I really like the dude. I think he's a great filmmaker. I just don't buy all the hype for some of his films. That's all I'm gonna
I
say.
just don't think you actually think he's a great filmmaker.
What?
I don't think you think he's a great filmmaker.
I do think he's a great
Because
filmmaker.
here's my thing. Here's my thing. If you think he's a great filmmaker, and you think Wolf of Wall Street is his best movie, and you think Killers of the Flower Moon is very good, since 2010 you didn't have him on your best directors list, on your top 10 directors list.
I would say Killers is good. I wouldn't say very good.
But you didn't have him on your top 10 directors list.
No, because I had one film I thought
And
Wolf of
that's
Wall
only
Street.
for 2010.
Well, wait. Wolf of Wall Street didn't count though. Oh
Yeah,
no,
it
it
did.
did. Okay, Wolf of Wall Street was incredible. Didn't see Silence. Did not like The Irishman. I thought Killers was good. That's what I'm saying here. It's not like I had one movie that I loved by him. Another movie that I thought was good. You know? Like it's I don't think it's out of this land.
You don't think he's a great filmmaker? It's cool.
I do think he's a great
Okay,
film.
okay. Let's go through his. Let's go through his movies, and I'm gonna say overrated or not.
No.
We have to do this. We have to do this because we
Okay,
did
wait. Before we do this, real quick, I have another point. So, do you think Martin Scorsese right now, not in terms of what he's done up to this point, right now or the last couple of years, do you think he's in? If you go ahead and talk about like a rapper debate, it'd be like who's in best form right now? Do you think he's the best in-form American filmmaker right now? You're gonna say Nolan outside of Christopher Nolan.
best in form.
Yeah, like what I mean.
The problem is right now is like too. I don't know what that means. What is that last? Like, I get what right now means, but like, what
yeah,
like
it's
what am I
hard to
allowed
judge.
consider, and like what am I not allowed to consider in terms of
Like
his
last couple of years, what he's made, what his kind of style right now,
like if we're including The Irishman, but like not going any further back than that, I would
sure.
say yes. I think I would say yes because I haven't seen Tenet, and then Oppenheimer is better than The Irishman and Killers of the Flower Moon, but that's 2-1. So I would say yes, or he's second.
That's crazy. That's crazy, bro.
I don't think he's that crazy. Each of those got like.
I got Damien one.
See, that's crazy.
Yeah, Babylon masterpiece. Anyways, okay, go ahead and go to the overrated, underrated.
Okay, so before we do our top tens, I'm gonna name the movies you've seen. You tell me if they're overrated or not. Scorsese.
Yep, got you.
Taxi Driver.
Overrated.
There's one. Raging Bull.
Overrated.
King of Comedy.
Underrated.
After Hours.
Overrated.
Goodfellas.
Overrated.
Are you serious?
No, can we go properly rated?
Stand on it. If you think it's overrated, say it. I don't.
Because I have it at 4.5, and I think the consensus on let's go consensus on Letterboxd here. I think it's around there. So can I just say properly rated? So I'm not going underrated.
Yeah, I was just going overrated or not.
We'll go properly rated for Goodfellas. Yeah, 4.5. That's what they say on Letterboxd. That's what I think. Properly rated.
Sorry, I'm counting up. So Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, After Hours. That's 3 is overrated, you said.
Yeah.
Casino.
Properly rated.
Departed.
Overrated.
Shutter Island.
Overrated.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Underrated.
Irishman.
I mean, The Irishman, I don't really know, but overrated.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Overrated.
So 7 movies. You've seen, what did you say, 12 or 11? You've seen 11 movies of Scorsese.
Wait. Yeah, 11,
I
think.
Don't tell me you think he's a great filmmaker. Don't tell me you're not a hater if you think 7 of his films are overrated.
But
Get on to the top 10 list. Get on to the top 10 list.
No, let's go through a couple of those movies real quick. Because some of them.
We just went through them.
Some of them are over. Some of them I say that are overrated. I really like. Like I like Killers of the Flower Moon. I like.
You don't like Killers of the Flower Moon. Don't pretend you like it.
I like it. I just think it could have been better.
If you made a list
of your
top 10 favorite movies from 2020, so are you telling me Killers of the Flower Moon would be on there?
No.
You don't like it. It's fine if you don't like it.
I don't really like it. Oh man,
You don't like Killers
it's
out of the overrated ones.
it's not that I don't like it. I just don't think it's great.
Out of the overrated ones, I don't think you like any of them. Besides The
That's not
Departed,
true.
I think you like The Departed.
I would say I like Raging Bull too. I just don't like the ending. I thought the ending was trash.
Okay, so two out of the seven because you don't like Taxi Driver. You don't like After Hours.
No, that's
You don't like
trash.
what am I missing here? You don't like The Irishman or Killer's Flower Moon.
Straight up.
So what are we doing? What are we doing here? Seven
All
to
right,
four.
let's do
Overrated.
top 10. Top 10.
All right. Just read them off, or I mean, like read them or back and forth 10, 9, or
Let's
10,
go
10,
back
9.
and forth. I didn't actually write a list, but
All right,
I can just go. I can go ahead and sort them. So on my
my number
ratings,
10 is Casino.
Casino at number 10.
And
That
this is
feels
a tough list for me. It's a 4-star movie coming at number 10. It's pretty good.
yeah. Give me 1 second while I load it. Why do you like Casino, Avi? I know we discussed it a little bit, but I'm gonna stall for a few minutes.
I just think it's so interesting the idea of how the mob is influencing these things. Vegas, like I didn't know anything about the mob connection to Vegas and like the kind of big boom of Vegas. Also, kind of like the Irishman, that idea that the mob had a hand in like Kennedy getting elected and all that, like stuff like that. It's just really interesting to me.
Interesting. Okay.
And
Is
also you also have like there's brutal moments in the casino, like where the dude has the ice pick hit to his nether regions, and they're torturing him. I was like, geez, I like this is brutal. The dude gets killed with his head in like a vice, and it's like, ugh.
yeah, no, thank you. So at number 10, I am going to go with we're gonna go with After Hours at number 10. Didn't really like this film. Straight up. Number
My,
9 for you.
my number 9 is After Hours, but I have this at 4.5-star films, and I love this movie.
I have After Hours at 3 out of 5.
It's just so great.
At number 9, I have Taxi Driver. And this is one of these films that if I revisit it, maybe it'll change. I don't know what I would give it star wise, but it's gonna be at 9 right now for me.
All right, little low, but not too crazy given what you said about it and how long you've seen it, how long since you've seen it. Number 8, I have The Color of Money, which we didn't really talk about, but like this is one of the most fun movies in his discography or the filmography, not discography. But yeah, one of his most fun movies. I love Tom Cruise in this. Like, I think this is the same year it's the original Top Gun came out, so hell of a year for Tom Cruise.
Yeah. So at number 8, I have Shutter Islands, a film that I didn't see for a while. Definitely more of that horror thriller aspect that we don't see from Martin Scorsese very often. So I do like that, but I remember it being a little underwhelming last time I checked it out. So I thought it was good, but it's a little underwhelming.
Yeah, my number
7, right?
7, right?
Yeah.
7, I have his newest movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. Um, no, we just talked about this in depth, so I don't really have much to say. But yeah, great movie.
At number 7, I also have Killers of the Flower Moon.
Number 6, I have The Irishman. Lovely music, lovely movie. You know, it's so beautiful.
Eh,
Chef's kiss.
eh, I don't know about that. Number 6 for me, I have Raging Bull. Thought it was a
Oh,
good movie. Didn't like the
Raging
ending.
Bull at 6, dude.
Yeah. Straight
I
up.
think it's close. It's closer to the 6th best movies of the 1900s than it is whatchamacallit.
Oh my God.
The 6 movies.
Stop. The
But whatever.
glazing is getting out of hand.
It's a glazing if it's true. Number 5, Taxi Driver.
Stop. Taxi Driver at number 5. At number 5 for me, I'm going to go with The Departed.
Okay, my number 5 is, or my number 4 is The Departed.
What's oh yeah, you're four. Number four, Depart. Interesting. It feels a little high compared to like most lists. You really love it that much.
Yeah, I think it's pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Number four for me, I have Casino.
Interesting.
I like Casino. It's cool.
It just wears on me a bit too much for me to put it up that high, but definitely good movie.
Yeah.
Um, my
Three
number
now?
three. Um, these for what it's worth. Before I get into this, my top three I think are clear and away his best three. I think. And so yeah, number three is Wolf of Wall Street for me.
Nice. I mean, shoot, that's a little bit too low, but that's all right with me. King of Comedy, number three to me. I think one of his most overlooked films, even though it's 4.2 stars. So I don't even know if it's underrated, bro. All right.
That's how deep his catalog is, man. You forget he's got his like movies like King of Comedy. Like no one ever
Yeah.
really talks about them the same way they do Goodfellas, but like it's fantastic. But my
He's got a number two for you. Yep.
number two is Raging Bull. Just phenomenal.
Razor Gold number two. Interesting. All right. Number two for me is Goodfellas. I might switch it to a five one of these days. We'll see. We'll see. And one day I can be persuaded.
Perfect movie. But my number one is Goodfellas, like the defining movie of Scorsese's career.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So number one for me is of course The Wolf of Wall Street. Incredible movie. I remember the first time I watched this, I was just in awe. I was in like high school and I was watching on my phone. I'm like, I will not watch this with my parents. No. But incredible film. Anyways, do you have any other thoughts?
I mean, we both said our closing thoughts. So one thing I'll just mention real quick: his upcoming movies. He's still planning to make more movies. His two upcoming movies are, I think, a Jesus movie with Andrew Garfield in talks to star, maybe, and then this is good news for you. I think the Jesus movie is only supposed to be like 80 or 90 minutes,
Yes, thank you.
and then a book called another movie called The Wager, based or a book called The Wager. He's making a movie off of it. All I know is it's about a shipwreck with Leo DiCaprio is going to be in it, but I'm not sure how far along that is. So yeah,
That's cool. I like that. Anyways, that's all I have. Thank you everyone for listening and have a good day.
yep. See you
And
guys. Scorsese's the goat. Have a good time. Scorsese's the goat, man.
and, and
Go
man,
watch
I'm
Good.
just looking forward
Check
to
out
that
Goodfellas.
looking forward to that Dame Giselle jail movie.
Check out Goodfellas.
Uh